Hey, everybody. Welcome to So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
Happy December, the last month of the year. I can't really fathom that. Can you?
Oh, no.
The
How was it?
final, first of all, November may have been a year long itself in many ways. and yet also 2024 has been but a blink of an eye in other ways. And here we are.
I know.
Our fin-
I can't believe it's almost time to get ready for 2025.
I know. Our final theme of the year, as always, is So Many Santas. We're getting into that this week. Be sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube or in your favorite podcasting app so you get those episodes when they drop. Coming up later this week, we will drop our first review, which I'll go ahead and tell you because we picked it out. It's going to be the brand new Christmas movie on, well, I say the brand new because there's like 700. One of the bigger brand new Christmas movies on Netflix this season, Hot Frosty. Hot Frosty. Starring Lacey Chabert and Dustin Millipede. I don't remember his name. The guy from Schitt's Creek, he was in Schitt's Creek, if you remember.
He was.
That show. So we're going to be talking about that later in the week. But let's catch up on what else has been going on in the world. You know, as of us recording this, we just wrapped up. So that was fun. How was everybody's Thanksgiving? Anything exciting to report?
No, very, very calm, very cool.
It's what you want.
Nothing happened. No major developments. Just good food. During the Thanksgiving break, my sister-in-law did finish her cancer treatment.
Oh,
so
that's
she
good.
is done. She got to ring the
Great.
bell and everything. So
Yeah,
awesome.
good news in that regard. So nothing,
Yeah.
but no catastrophes though.
That's something to be thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
I had 4 different kinds of meat, friends.
From the same animal or from different from 4 different animals?
From different animal. Well, 2. Okay, one was the same animal but cooked a different way.
Right. Okay.
So we had 2 turkeys. We had a traditional roasted turkey and a 22-pound deep fried turkey, ham, and lamb. And I think that was we had a bunch of sides and stuff.
Don't eat no meat
to go along with. We had a variety of casseroles, if you will, like the Oklahoma casserole potluck is kind of how we do it here at the household. And so we had about 20 people, and they all brought stuff. And there's too many things to list and too many pies to list, and I'm still feeling it, to be honest with you.
That's good. You know, my only real thing to report that was out of the norm, and I didn't even realize it, till the next day, Black Friday, as the Lord observes. I didn't eat any dessert. I didn't have any pie. I didn't eat any.
Too full from the main course?
I guess it didn't occur to me, and I left.
Wow.
And the next day, I was like looking in the fridge, like, okay, I got some leftovers here. Where's the pie? I didn't get any. I never got
you didn't even get any leftovers?
Didn't even think of that part. Nope. I'd said,
oof,
get me out of here. Wow. Well, usually, you're packing the leftovers. If you're not one of the hosts, you got to take it with you.
Mm-hmm.
And at the point you're packing the leftovers, you don't want to. I don't want nothing to do with any of this food.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it always goes. I'm stuffed like a tick. I don't want to pack more. And you want me to add pie to it? So, but other than that, other than missing out on pie completely, pretty normal Thanksgiving, I would say.
Nobody saved you any? You didn't get to have any on day 2?
Unless, it's day 4 now, unless there's some still left. No.
Wow.
No.
You need to go to the store and get you that 50% off pumpkin pie that they got for sale,
Yeah, maybe I should get a for sale pie. I like that idea.
Yeah, you can get one of those, at Walmart, they have these little mini pies right now that are like...
Boo, get a whole ass pie.
They're like, I'm saying, you get like a couple of the little pies.
Now you go to Costco
eat them all at once.
Get the pie as big as your
Pace
face.
them out.
Deep dish.
That's what you do.
Deep dish pumpkin pie.
But also, during...
Where's the sauce?
What?
Where's the sauce?
Oh, I don't want a deep dish. Yeah, not a pie. Holidays are great. Get some time off from work. Hopefully everybody gets time off from their jobs and whatever responsibilities on hold for a little bit. I hope that's happening. I've caught up on some movies in the past week with some of the extra time off. Let me start with, I wanted to catch up on, I haven't seen Gladiator 2 yet. Haven't seen it, but I also thought, I don't really remember Gladiator. Came out in 2000. I don't remember when I first saw it, but that would have been the only time. I don't remember ever seeing it again. So I thought, all right, I'm gonna watch Gladiator on Paramount Plus. Let's fire this baby up. That's it. That's my reaction to the movie. That's it, huh? That's the greatness.
Because you hadn't seen it one longer ago.
Yeah, it was like fine. I don't know why we made a sequel so late.
Yeah.
I would really like to know if you know more about this part, David, because this movie came out, like I said, in 2000. The score was done by Hans Zimmer, who also did the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Mm-hmm.
He copied himself, man.
You get similar sounds?
Almost identical sounds. In Gladiator, they're like gladiating. That's probably not the verb, but they're gladiating, and it's like almost the same. And I was like, "What? This is madness!" And then I looked, and apparently he just kind of like did it again.
I'd have to look into that one specifically, but that is sort of a. I have noticed that if you listen to a composer's like various films, you do start to pick up on little similarities. There's also a little bit of that kind of, Hans Zimmer kind of brings a little bit. He did some of the music for like the Prince of Egypt, and he did a little bit of stuff I think with the Lion King as well. So you can catch like little riffs, little things, similarity there. John Williams, you could take all of his most famous scores, and they kind of interweave really well together. Superman, Back to the Future, I think he did. No, he didn't do Back to the Future. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, anyway, yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to check that out and see if
I'll send
puts
you
me
a
on the high seas.
video.
I mean, I saw Gladiator a long time ago. It's a good movie. I don't know.
Yeah,
if
it's not bad. I didn't say it was bad. I just
but it really
was
stands.
Like, that's it, huh?
I think it was one of those things. It was just sort of like, for the time it was released, it was like, oh man, this is like an epic throwback to like a classical kind of Hollywood movie in terms of like in terms of like the setting, going back to like ancient Rome. But you could see it at this. You could see it at this bigger scale than they could give you in the 1950s, or something like that.
For me, it's the practical. It's all just shot well. It's produced well. It's well acted. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix and Russell Crowe are amazing in that movie. I feel like they really just absolutely deliver, and they are really raw with each other, and their fight scenes are really brutal. And then everything in the Gladiator scene seems practical. There's always that big continuity thing. I don't know if you guys know this, but it's one of the things that they show in like film schools where you want to make sure that you're paying attention to continuity, because there was like the canister exposed in the middle of the thing and nobody caught it in the final cut of the movie. And so that's one of the things that they highlight. But I just like really the practicality of it. But I agree with the lack of it's just name recognition. I think is all that people are banking on, because you have good actors in Gladiator 2, which Josh talked more about, but I don't necessarily know why you have to connect it to Gladiator. It seems like the connection is like a loosely threaded one in some way, shape, or form too, just to kind of be like same time frame. But what do you think, Josh?
I just am not really sure what demand there was. I don't know. I just don't know what the sequel was for. It just feels so much later, and it involves at least somewhat different people. I haven't seen Gladiator 2, so I can't speak to it. But again, going back and rewatching the first one, it still didn't really make me any more intrigued to go see the second one. Like, yeah, it looks good. The first one looks good on film, but I just was really bored a lot. Just felt like kind of, I don't know. I'm gonna get roasted.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think you're gonna get. Well,
it's sort of a wildly praised movie, but it's Ridley Scott. It's I think Russell Crowe's at the height of his popularity at that point. And I think a part of it too, Garrett, you were talking about the practicality and the sort of the design and the production elements, things like that. But, I think also it was that there seemed to be an interest, a desire for a greater sense of sort of violence and brutality, showing the ugliness of history a little bit more, at least during that time frame. Because, you compare it to, Gladiator or Roman movies, older Hollywood, and like there was violence and stuff, but it was nowhere to the degree that you get in something like Gladiator, where you see like somebody hanging and burning and stuff like that kind of gruesomeness. So, it kind of hit a lot of buttons for various people at the time. But yeah, as far as a sequel goes, I don't know. I mean, if somebody has a story they really want to tell, like, you kind of hope that since it's Ridley Scott coming back, that he has something really specific he wants to do. But Ridley Scott also kind of seems a little bit crazy these days. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Ridley Scott seems to just be like, I just want to make movies and I'll do whatever I have to do to make it. If it has to be Gladiator 2, fine. Even though he doesn't seem, I don't know. He seems kind of over it. He didn't want to talk. He didn't like people telling him that it wasn't accurate or whatever.
Who the hell knows? You aren't there. You know what I mean? What do you mean it wasn't accurate?
Well, but there's
I
slightly
joke to a
inaccurate
degree.
and there's way inaccurate.
I know. I get it. Slow down, nerds. Slow down. I get it. But at the same time, there is a degree of like, guys, they are doing ancient Rome. It's not going to be accurate.
Well, and that's why I think, that's why I do think that some people think that there might be some inaccuracies, because it goes back to that, what was it, a TikTok thing of how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And apparently it's a lot for a lot of people. So that's also probably why this movie's so well liked for certain.
That's true. A lot of people be thinking about the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm. People like history. People like action and violence, and they like old badasses. And that's kind of what Maximus was or whatever.
It was
Garrett,
certainly
do you remember
okay.
Do you remember the Stone Cold parody version of Gladiator that they did for WrestleMania Hollywood?
No.
Do you remember that? Oh, it's great.
I'll have to go back and find that.
For WrestleMania 20, I think it was 20, it took place in Los Angeles. And so they did a whole Hollywood theme. And so they did a bunch of vignettes of wrestlers reenacting classic films. So they had like everybody auditioning, like Batista and other people auditioning to be in Taxi Driver. They had Triple H in Braveheart. And they had Stone Cold as Maximus from Gladiator. And he's doing some of the lines he's like doing some of the lines word for word. And then all of a sudden he just like really breaks it to, son of a mother, a murdered son, father of a murdered son, husband of a murdered wife, and he really gets into it. And he goes, and one badass son of a bitch, And,
sounds about right.
Yeah, it's goofy and fun. Anyway.
Wow. Outrageous. Unacceptable.
We need to bring that back.
Nope, don't bring that back. So yeah, that was Gladiator. Gary, what have you watched this week? You watched a couple things.
I ended up watching Gremlin, what I felt like was preparation for.
It is. It's Christmas.
I was
movie.
because, I've seen that on several lists, and it has been many years since I've seen Gremlins. So I was like, how is Gremlins a Christmas movie? And sure enough, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. I had no, I just would have not thought that. But Gizmo straight up Christmas present. I mean, for sure, Christmas movie. That whole the opening premise. It is still entertaining. I learned that Howie Mandel did the voice of Gizmo. And that there's a wild cast of people who are just going, that's kind of what they got paid to do. So great for them.
I think that's most of what Bill Hader does for a living now.
That is true.
He's all the droids in every Star Wars thing.
Yeah, I forget about that. That's great. I'm glad that they use practical voice effects these days. But, it's funny. I'm only about halfway through, to be honest with you. So I'm not quite done, but it has been more entertaining than I expected for 1984, I think.
And Gremlins is one of the movies with Temple of Doom that forced the MPAA to create the PG-13 rating. I think Gremlins was still. I think Gremlins is either still PG or it might be the first film to be PG-13. I can't remember which way it is.
It's kind of scary. Them Gremlins are evil-looking little critters. When you feed them after midnight, they're mean-looking.
Oh yeah, nasty.
Josh, have you seen Gremlins in a while?
Not in a while, but I might now.
Yeah, it might be a good.
I might fit it into my Christmas viewing.
Yeah, it's been fine. And then the other thing is I had to go walk off all my Thanksgiving stuff, and I went to here in Oklahoma. If you're looking for places to go walk, Keystone Ancient Forest in Sand Springs is highly recommended. They have 4 different kinds of trails with some overlooks that are really nice of the Keystone Lake. So that was fun. But the reason I brought it up is because when we were walking on the trail, we had one of the service golf carts kind of coming up on us. And I'm looking in this thing like, what am I seeing? There is something in there that is weird. And they pull over to the side of the road and they were going to let us go. And I'm like, I'm seeing it's like a big furry face. And I'm like, do they got like a bear mascot or something? No, they were wearing a Grinch suit. They were out there.
The Grinch.
They have like a kids program, and so they were working with the kids. But I was thinking that they should have been out there in the Grinch suit doing some Bigfoot kind of stuff, because that would have been really funny. But it was, it was really nice, peaceful, tranquil. 2 weeks ago, the leaves would have been beautiful, but their elevation's higher, so they all dead now and on the ground. But if you're looking for places to go in Oklahoma and just kind of walk around and enjoy the nature, I highly recommend it. And if they've got difficulty levels of trails. They've got easy, they've got hard, they've got go away, you'll never be seen again kind of difficulty too. So it was a lot of fun.
Wow. Cool. I haven't been there in a minute either.
What a great Christmas feeling.
Yeah. It was crisp. It was crisp outside.
Well, and you're going to be seeing the Grinch out there?
I know.
I hope there was
we walked around and they would have a kids program, and so they were making little ornaments out of wood. And so we got to the end of one of the trails, and sure enough, out there on one of the trees that looks like a little Christmas tree, little handmade ornaments from all the kids. It was cute.
Wow.
No Grinch out there being.
I was gonna say, I hope he didn't go steal those ornaments now. I know what that Grinch be up to. He tries to act like he's your friend, but not once Christmas comes around.
He's a bad banana with a greasy black peel.
That's what they say. That's exactly what they say. All right, well then let me talk about the other movie I watched. I wanted to save it for the end of this so we could go into the box office. The only new movie I went and caught this week was Moana 2. Big old movie if you've seen any of the headlines coming out of the opening weekend. I went and caught it. I actually watched it on Thanksgiving morning. I was like, you know what? This will be the time, because I didn't want to go when it was going to be super packed, which it was later in the day. So I caught a 10, I think it was 10 a.m. on Thanksgiving. And it wasn't full. There was only a handful of people in there, not a ton of kids being loud, just a few. So it was, for my purposes, I could enjoy the movie a little bit. And unfortunately, I just didn't really enjoy the movie at all. I hate to say, because I really love that first Moana movie, but I'll be danged if they didn't take everything good from it and not put it in the second one. I don't know what that's about. Bro. Very strange.
Oh my.
Yeah. Gonna be mean to it. It wasn't very good, and I think my expectation, and I think it should have been better for a lot of reasons, but expectations were high, and it's making so much money, which just goes to show the amount of goodwill Disney's built up with the Moana character. People aren't flooding the theaters because they love Moana 2. They don't know yet. They're going because they love Moana. And from what I can tell, there seems to be a bit of a mixed response. You go check Rotten Tomatoes, and I want to say that critics score somewhere in the high 60s last I checked, and then you got the audience in like the high 80s. So kids are easy to please. Where this movie goes wrong, though, well, first of all, I won't go into the whole story, but this started out as a Disney Plus television series, a limited series, and somewhere along the way they decided, let's rework it into a feature film to be Moana 2. And you can just kind of tell that that's where it started out. It's the plot is almost too similar to Moana 1. It's like, oh, she just wants to leave the island again to go do something that only she can do. And then as soon as she leaves, Moana wants to go back home. We've seen this movie before. None of the songs were written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who was the main composer of the first movie. And you can tell that too. A lot of people have their opinions on him. Some say he was doing too much for a little while. And now they say, nay, bring Lin-Manuel back because these songs are not catchy. They're not very good. Like, there's really not a banger in the bunch, which is a shame because There's at least 3 in that first one that I just really like a lot, maybe
Mhm.
more. Villains. There's not really one. There is, but once you see it, you'll know what I mean. We don't get like a nice Jermaine Clement, shiny Tamatua. None of that fun
Mhm.
villain is there.
Mhm.
And then Maui, who is, the kid fan favorite anyway. Man, he don't show up till like 45 minutes left in the movie as a main character. You get some like glimpses of him in the beginning, and then he finally, once they all meet up again, it's like the last 45 minutes of the movie. And so, I don't know.
Too
Well, you
deep.
watched an hour at that point.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
felt
that's
rough.
the general consensus I've kind of heard is like the best compliment or the kind of highest reviews I've heard is like, it's fine. I mean, like it
Yeah.
looks nice and like, it plays somewhat in order. But like the songs aren't hitting the same. The characters don't feel quite. The one thing I've heard is that like when it comes to like you can tell if you didn't know it was a streaming series first, you would just think, man, this thing keeps feeling like it's setting up drama only for it to kind of be let out really easily. And that you can do that with a show where it's like you build to a thing, a little climax, and then cut, and then wait till next week, and here come okay, now we have the resolution of that and building to another thing, and or something like that. They kind of said that it has a lot of that, like it does not feel structured like a movie at times, and you can kind of feel it. So I probably will catch this at some point just so I can, you know, see for myself.
Mhm.
But luckily, while Jack is very pro Moana. He likes that first movie. He's more excited about Sonic 3. So
Understandable.
probably we might try to take him to see Sonic 3 later this month.
Gary, did you
I got
ever see
nothing for you,
Moana?
boys. No, I was gonna say I got nothing for you, boys. I haven't seen either.
Oh
What the
yeah. Well,
F,
that
But
first
man?
one's
it
pretty good.
doesn't. It just makes me. I mean, I'm happy to see the first one.
Mhm.
Everyone raves about that. But
Mm.
Great.
yeah, no, had little interest in it. Honestly, I saw Moana 2 on there, and I went, "Wait, is this a sequel or is this the live action remake that they're
Mhm.
working on?" Because I have no
They're
idea.
doing that too.
I was like, I don't know.
That's
So
coming too. That's
They're
coming
doing
too.
that
yeah,
too. Both of these were kind of frustrating decisions, and from what I understand, because there's been some reporting on this, Moana is like since Disney Plus's launch, Moana is like the most streamed film, like in terms of an
I've
individual
heard
film. It's
that
the most
too.
streamed movie. Like somebody had a statistic that was like one out of every, or like something like one out of every 80 films picked is Moana in terms of like movies that are started at any given moment. Like Moana's just always starting somewhere. And then a large percentage of it is Bluey. So it's like Moana and Bluey are the two runaway favorites on Disney Plus. But let's dive into this box office from there because yes, this has been a historic weekend. Earlier this year, we were talking a little bit of doom and gloom. I was saying, hey, let's not get too worried, but these numbers are bad. We're going to talk about have we recovered here in just a minute. Moana 2, based on the most recent estimate, is going to open with the highest 5-day Thanksgiving weekend ever and the highest 3-day Thanksgiving weekend ever. That 5-day is looking at $221 million. And just a quick spoiler, that is higher than most total Thanksgiving years. Like, there are a lot of Thanksgiving years that, like, even if you combine every film that came out, their 5-day doesn't reach that high. So, Moana 2, record shattering. Not that far behind, though, is Wicked, which in its second weekend brought in $117 million over that 5-day period, $80 million in its 3 days. So that's only a 29% drop from its last weekend. This is good enough to be the third highest Thanksgiving Day weekend, even though it didn't open this particular weekend. So it's Wicked and Moana 2 carrying this by a lot. Not to be left out is Gladiator 2, which over that 5-day period brought in $44 million and $30 million in its second weekend. So not a deep drop for it either, if you remember the other week. A little bit further down is Red 1, which is still in theaters, brought in $18 million over the 5-day, $12 over the 3-day. And the best Christmas pageant ever, nice little Christmas movie, brought in $4.8 million, 3 for its 3-day. It's massive 5-day. It's the biggest Thanksgiving weekend all time. All movies combined, the estimate is currently about $417 million for all movies that release this weekend. It's, for comparison, the next highest year is 2015 with 382 million. Everything else doesn't even cross 300 million. So this is by far a huge record-shattering weekend. And did I say 2015? I'm sorry, 2018 was that year. Excuse me. That was the next highest. So just huge. Any thoughts on that so far?
Well, I saw on Deadline, I think earlier in the week, that Moana 2 and Red 1 have made Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson potentially the first actor to achieve a #1 open for 2 movies in the same month.
Yeah. Because Red 1 did manage to open #1, and then Moana 2
It has not
here.
been done before, according to their research.
And that speaks to,
Can you
one,
smell what he's
how much
cooking?
it speaks to, one, how much he is working, but also the fact that he's working kind of with everyone. He has stuff with Disney. I think Red 1, wasn't that produced by Amazon
I
or
don't know.
somebody? And then he's working everywhere. So it was bound to happen that eventually he gets scheduled against himself. But yeah, so it has been a big year for Dwayne, unfortunately.
It could be worse. It could
could
be a worse guy.
I suppose.
I don't know.
He ain't that bad,
so-
He's just kind of full of himself at this point.
He is
He
a little
needs
full of
stuff. He
himself.
needs to get humbled a little bit, is what he needs.
That ain't going anywhere
Yes.
anytime soon, is it?
Nah.
My reaction was great. Let's
So-
give him another credit that he can just throw out there. Because let's be real, Red 1, haven't seen it, sucks.
Well, that's the
He's
thing. He can
changing
get-
it every.
And yeah, so neither of those 2 movies may get necessarily rave reviews, but I will say, I think arguably, now you can talk about different, preferences and things like that. I think Moana might be the actual best movie he's ever been in terms of like a movie. And it's not
yeah,
because
that
it's
might
him.
be true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Those
Moana-
Jumanji movies are pretty funny.
They are, though.
And successful.
That's
Okay,
successful.
so, all right, so the question I posed earlier is, have we recovered? Earlier this year, we talked a lot about how the box office was suffering with performance by movies like Fall Guy and Furiosa during the summer months. There was some trepidation. Is the box office faltering? And that held for a little while, but thanks to a fairly solid end of the summer and a fairly solid holiday period, between October and now November, we have recovered quite a bit. So in around May, the box office was like close to 25% down year to date, which is tremendous because pre-pandemic, the average year to date numbers would be like anywhere between like 2 and 5%. You might have a down year and you'd be like 5% down. You might have a good year and you're 3 or 5% up, something like that. Well, after all this, we are back to just 10% off of where we were at the end of 2023. So we are doing much better. Theater owners have got to be feeling great because you had these huge movies open here in November. People are coming back to the movies. So maybe all that doom and gloom and all those guys, all those sort of smug, I have my own home theater system, I never go to the movies anymore kind of people are feeling a certain way. Who knows? But we're getting close. It'll be interesting to see. We got 4 more weeks. We've got still some big movies to come out. We got Mufasa, Sonic 3, Kraven the Hunter, Nosferatu, A Complete Unknown. A24's got a couple of movies coming out. There's a pretty big horror weekend coming out, like first week of December, where you've got you got Getaway, The Return, which is like an Odysseus kind of movie, Werewolves, and Y2K. These are all like A24, IFC, neon type movies. So they're like this first week of December has got a real late horror vibe to it. So you might have a good December, and we might finish at about a pretty typical down year. Probably still a down year, but not as bad as it could have been.
Right. Well, I'll take that. I think that's a pretty good deal.
I think James Gunn tweeted, "It's great to see people embracing going to the movies, theaters."
Good deal. Yeah, it is. We love the movie theaters. Go, and we love the movies. That's why we do this. Well, that's it basically. We've got, like I said at the start of the show, so many Santas geared up for this month. We're going to kick off with Hot Frosty later in the week. And our other picks are also settled. We've got coming up this month 8 Crazy Nights. We've got, I almost forgot mine for a second.
Oh, it's right here.
Christmas with the Craigs.
There you go.
Christmas with the Craigs, going back to the old Tim Allen well. And then It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes. That'll make a big difference, because
You think?
our earliest So Many Santa movie right now is 1983's A Christmas Story. So that'll blow that out of the water.
Well, we don't go this far back any points during the year. So I don't know, when did It's a Wonderful Life come out? 40?
That is a great question.
1946.
46. Dang.
That might be that's going to be our new oldest movie ever that we reviewed for the show.
A brand new achievement unlocked. That's exciting. So that's what we've got coming up this month, and all kinds of other fun stuff planned as well. So be sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube or in your favorite podcasting app. Go check out our website, SoManySequels.com. You can get links to our socials there. You can find us on Instagram at SoManySequelsPod, on Threads and TikTok as well. And then if you want to get even more involved with the show, join our Patreon. You can get access to our Discord that way, and you can also find our website. We'll see you all next time.